Yes, welcome to the No State Project live from the Fortified Compound here in Mesa, Arizona. Glad to be aboard for this hour of anarchy radio and broadcast here at my YouTube channel, No State Project. Still in the podcast loop at lrn.fm. So if you're listening there, appreciate it. You can also subscribe to the podcast at markstevens.net. So at least there you're going to get notifications, where not so much with the YouTube there, because it's not monetized. And want to thank everyone for their continued support of the show. It's you can do so at markstevens.sells.com. That's SELZ, markstevens.sells.com, or just go to markstevens.net. And I do appreciate everyone's continued support. Of course, Mark's came in today. Very, very much appreciated. And for everybody, Chris and Dan and Bill, and appreciate everyone's help. Don. And again, if you want, just go to my website, markstevens.net. And you can also get the scripts and the templates. And of course, Government Indicted, which has a whole model that has been proven effective at being able to defend yourself against these baseless charges. And generally, especially what we deal here with, on the show, code violations. And that encompasses anytime it is nonviolent behavior. You're not accused of actually hurting somebody. Just some sort of like not having a driver's license or not filing a tax return. Things like that, where there's no victim. Or they kind of like to say, well, society's the victim. Well, if there is a victim and there's damage, then quantify it somehow, you know? But I want to address right now, one of the stupid. I use the phone, and then I get notifications, so I get to see some of the stupidest YouTube comments. And so somebody went on a video from a while ago, and it's just basically a comment regarding my position is, if someone's making a legal claim, they should have to prove it. Now, I know that is seen as wildly radical, and it calls into question my mental capacities. Just it's like, just how stupid can you be? There is that, and that may be a legitimate question. Some may think, and I did go down to the police department to ask them questions, and I got stalked for it. So not my brightest, not an example of my brightest thoughts there and ideas. That's why I tell people, do not go to the police department to ask them. In fact, don't ask cops. Quite leave them alone. Kicking a hornet's nest. I mean, these people are violent. They are dangerous, which I will get to my, the story in a moment. But well, let's actually get to this stupid comment. So it has to do with this. Somebody's making a legal claim that a piece of paper, or the laws apply because I'm physically in Arizona, and I asked them for evidence of that. They think that's a ridiculous thing. It's like saying, prove that the sun is going to come up tomorrow. And, the thing is, talk about apples and oranges there. I mean, please, you're going to compare something that is an observable fact, that we have video and we got witnesses, and, it's not actually the sun rising, but I'm not going to split that hair. You can see these things. And so you can go based on solid inductive reasoning and, with a lot of damn evidence that, the earth is going to continue turning on its axis around the sun. And then we're going to have a sunset. We're going to have a sunset tonight. We're going to have a sunrise tomorrow. So to compare that to a police officer making a legal claim, what is it? What are you, some kind of cop sucker over here that the cops can do no wrong? How far up a status behind do you have to be to compare something as rooted in evidence as a sunset, and compare that to a legal claim made by a police officer or a tax agent or any bureaucrat? Oh, we shouldn't question politicians. That's stupid. So I had to single that out as one of the dumbest YouTube comments that I've seen. No, but we'll get to the calls in just a moment. If you want to join the big show, it is 218-632-9399, 218-632-9399. The passcode is 2020 with the pound sign. Well, you should get that prompt when you call there. So, and just for the tech guys out there, and you can respond to me at markstevens@mail.com. Just go to my email address. I can't figure out what the hell is going on. Maybe it'll get solved when I'm not using Windows. I didn't have the time this week to get things set up so I'm not having to use Windows. But if I use Firefox as a browser, I don't get any audio. No, and it does. All the settings are right. I don't get any audio. I'll get crystal clear HD video, not a bite of audio. That's why I got to use Google Chrome. But with Google Chrome, every single time you go to do a live stream, every single time you get a window that says that your camera is being used by another application when there's no other applications being used and there's no solution to it. So if anybody knows, just for the few weeks I have to still use Windows, if you have any idea how to stop that from happening, let me know. It used to be it would just do it for a minute or so and then it would clear up. Now I got to restart the whole computer every time I want to do a live stream. Oh, I'm a fungo with Windows. And since before I get to the report here, unfortunately, I'm not doing a live show this Saturday. But I've been pretty damn consistent. And I want to thank everybody for the views on the last show. Maybe that's what we got to do, is do longer shows. Maybe that's what you guys are telling me. But I will be, of course, live Wednesday. So, look, we're always going to hear about cops killing innocent people. But this thing out of Dallas-Fort Worth, oh, my gosh, wow. Well, Dallas is where Amber Geiger was convicted. She killed a black man in his Gene Botham, killed him in his own apartment, claiming she was in the wrong apartment. And the judge had the audacity to hug her. She was just convicted of murder, and the judge is hugging her. So not only after that, we find out that a witness, one of the key witnesses in that case, was murdered. I reported that the last show. Killed. One of the witnesses killed. Remember, the Dallas Police Department actually was smearing the victim, Botham Jean. They were smearing him, trying to make him look bad. And so here you've got another black man who testifies against a white cop, winds up dead a couple of weeks after he testifies. Yeah. No foul play there, I'm sure. But this weekend, this reminded me of Tamir Rice, where a police officer is shooting and killing somebody within seconds. And so the police were called in the middle of the night to a house. They're saying that the door was open, but they didn't announce that they were police, and they parked their car down the street. Now, I had a situation years ago where one of the kids had destroyed part of the door frame to my front door, and it happened where I couldn't get it fixed. So the door couldn't close that night. And so there was a knock at the door. And as soon as I, wake up, I can see in through the window. I can see the lights, the emergency lights. It's obvious that there's a cop there. And they announced themselves, the Mesa PD, we driving by, we saw your door was wide open, everything. They didn't just open up. Thank goodness they didn't just open fire. But here, Officer Aaron Dean opens fire within seconds, doesn't announce that he's a police officer, just starts shooting, and killed Atatiana Jefferson, killed in her own home. What is amazing here is that he was allowed to resign, but they actually charged him with murder. Says he was arrested on a murder charge Monday. Police released an arrest warrant Tuesday, quoting the victim's 8-year-old nephew as saying Jefferson had pulled out a gun after hearing suspicious noises behind her house. Black politicians and others criticized the police and the media for bringing up Jefferson's weapon, angrily accusing the department of trying to deflect blame onto an innocent victim. The Fort Worth Police Department is going about the task of providing a defense for this officer, said Lee Merritt, an attorney for the Jefferson family. Interim police chief, though, Ed Krause himself declared there was, quote, absolutely no excuse for the killing, end quote. Well, absolutely no excuse, end quote, for the killing, and said Jefferson behaved as any. She's actually defending the victim. Instead of trying to smear the victim, the police chief is actually standing up for the victim. She behaved as any Texas homeowner would have on hearing a prowler. It wasn't clear from the warrant whether Dean even saw her weapon through the glass, which, if you see the video, doesn't seem too likely. Somebody is saying here in the chat that he's already been released on bail. That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate that he was actually released already. But the fact that he was charged with murder, and so I was saying through the Amber Geiger thing, I even used it in the thumbnail for the last video, when the judge was giving that hug to Amber Geiger, that hey, you gotta do your killings on the job. Well, here the killing was on the job, but it was so egregious that even the police chief is defending the victim. How bad does the evidence have to be against the cop for the cops to actually? Oh, okay, yeah, all right, we're not going to argue with the evidence here. Damn. So we'll see. Hope maybe we'll get it. Not only will this killer be convicted, maybe he'll get an appropriate sentence. Maybe they'll sentence him appropriately to, like, why don't they take, they should, when they, if the man, I can't say, if this guy is convicted, what they should do is sentence him as if he was a poor black guy who was selling drugs. That should be the criteria, I think, right? Use the same criteria there. You shouldn't have to say things like this, because selling drugs and killing innocent people are worlds apart. You would think that for murder you get more than 10 years, but if you're part of the privileged class, if you're one of the useful idiots, the automatons for the ruling class, 10 years, you'll be out in 5. Don't worry, you're not going to be in general pop. Don't worry about that. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Yeah. So maybe we'll see something different since it's he's being charged a lot faster than Amber Geiger was. This is something. 2 cops charged with murder in a year, or in about a year. And in Texas. You think that they're so hot in Texas for the death penalty. Oh, could you imagine the uproar if this Dean guy is not only convicted, but they seek the death penalty and get it? Killing a cop because he killed an innocent woman in her home? Oh, I think that's about as likely as the Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirators being not only named, but charged. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, because they were so quick to charge Jimmy Savile, right? They were so quick to charge, despite the outrage, the righteous outrage in Belgium with the Marc Dutroux affair. How many politicians, the ones who directed the cover-up in there, how many were charged? And they knew it was being covered up, which is why you had hundreds of thousands of people protesting. They knew it was a cover-up. You had prosecutors and judges covering it up. How many of them were charged? But still, this cop, that's a good thing. That's good to see. And if the evidence says he's guilty of sin and he's convicted, they should seek the death penalty. Oh, but cops have such a dangerous job. Yeah, right. Okay. Not even in the top 15 most dangerous professions. All right. All right. Well, let's get to, holy crap. I've been talking here. And we've got a whole line of calls. So let me get to the callers here. It looks like we have. And if you want to join the show, it is 218-632-9399. And the passcode is 2020 with the pound sign. So we have a new caller here. It looks like it is Sacramento area, California. But area code 916, you're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, I'm from Sacramento, California. My name is Atik Afzal.
I'm sorry, I had my headphones on wrong. What was your name?
My name is Atik. Atik,
and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Sacramento, California.
Hey, I got that right. Well, Atik, what can I do for you today?
Hey, I want to say thank you so much for having me today, and I appreciate everything you do. Mark, my question is in regards to, I got a speeding ticket in California, and I just wanted to use your help. What do you recommend I do for that?
Just go ahead and pay it.
Oh,
I had to say something like that. I'm in the middle of editing. So, well, are you fighting this? Are you objecting and fighting this, challenging this on principle?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard about the verified complaint thing. That's what I've been researching. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, but the courts, have turned the other way on that. Unfortunately, I worked with someone years ago, a good guy, and he had like 7 or 8. And this is in San Diego. This is the late 90s. And yeah, he had like 7 or 8 or so. He got these tickets, and he just said, I'd like to have a verified complaint, and the cop didn't bother to do that. And so they wound up getting tossed out. But somewhere along the line, the court started to wordsmith, and I can't cite this off the top of my head, but they determined that the ticket was a sworn complaint. So
right, okay.
Nice of them to do that. It's just like when they say, well, the habeas corpus is for any restraint of your liberty, but any restraint of your liberty really just means physical confinement. Oh, jeez.
Right. Yeah. Oh. And that's what I was afraid of. If I present these documents, which I have a whole about 10 pages of memorandums of cases to support it, I'm just thinking that the judge is probably going to overrule that, right?
Well, they're going to. You have to look when you're going to do a citation on a court case. You have to make sure that the ruling has not been reversed or modified in some way. So, if the California Supreme Court turns around and modifies or changes a ruling from their court or a lower court, you have to go by the more recent one. Or the prosecutor in this case just say, well, excuse me, this is why we shouldn't let lawyers into the non-lawyers argue their own cases. They don't know that the law has been changed, that the court ruled on such and such date that the ticket is considered a verified complaint now.
Well, even in the penal code, it says that it's not a verified complaint. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm confused. And then usually in California, of course, there is no prosecutor there. It's just you and the judge. So
well, it'll be
the
police officer is going. Well, they do that in a lot of places. Arizona, the same. New Hampshire, a lot of places. The petty traffic, they generally don't have a prosecutor. So it's going to be the police officer acting as a prosecutor. So there won't be a lawyer there from the prosecutor's office. There'll be the cop, and he is acting as the prosecutor. And they would argue, or even the judge could do it for him, that no, we consider this to be a verified complaint. Like in Arizona, for example, it says right on there, it's certified, and that's considered that it's under oath. I don't, it's something that. If you want to put that in the motion to dismiss, it's just that you don't need to have a laundry list of citations. You just have to have the most, a current one to show that this is the current law. And keep in mind that they're going to counter that. So you want to be able to have a case that counters that. I would stick with the typical basis of a demur, which is that they don't have any facts to support their claim, that they don't have sufficient facts to set forth a valid claim or offense.
Okay. So you have some motions, right, for sale I saw on the website. If I buy those, you recommend I follow those with do that and then do it that way, or what is your best recommendation for me to beat this matter?
The ultimate choice is yours. I can say what has happened in the past, why things went the way they did. I prefer to challenge in the way this is the way I do it. I prefer to attack the factual basis for the claims made against me. And so here it's best, and I think it's generally best to always, if the foundational claim is weak, to knock that out. Because if you can knock out or negate the foundational claim, then nothing else is relevant and it should be tossed out, which we have happened before. So that's what the demur does, is the demur is showing that based on the record, they have not even set forth a prima facie case, that they don't have sufficient facts to set forth a public offense, because there's the two general elements that the laws apply and you violated them. Now, they may have evidence that suggests you violated the law, but they're assuming that the laws apply in the first place. Now, we can be, attacked and ridiculed and mocked for not accepting that foundational claim is true, but nonetheless, it's an effective challenge. And it also comes with a motion for judicial notice, because in California, the courts, under the rules of evidence, I think it's 451 to 455, the courts are required to take judicial notice of the law. And so you just provide them with that. And so there are certain, for example, it's supposed to be an adversarial system, meaning there's supposed to be two adversaries. Not that they just disagree with each other, but they're adversaries in a legal sense, meaning there's an actual antagonistic assertion of rights, which in a traffic ticket isn't happening. So I think that's the best way to go.
Okay, so where do is it your forms on the website on markstevens.net, or where do I get this stuff?
It's right on markstevens.net.
Right. Okay. Well, because I'm on there, and let me see here. Where did it go? It's just it's on the main page.
You go under store. Go under the store link.
Oh, the store link. Okay, there you go. And then I see here it says government indicted, upcoming events, donate. Where is it at?
Store.
Yeah, I'm on the store page.
And just scroll down, and you'll see motion to dismiss.
Motion. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate your help. And then, so you're saying you're not having a Saturday session this weekend?
Unfortunately, no. But this is going to be the last time I'm going to California for a long time. So all the days of me going to California every other week or even once a month, those days are over. I have to make one trip, and that's it. And yeah. So
you actually come down here to California?
I've spent a lot of time in California these last since I've been married. My wife is from California, and so, but it got really intense about 6 years ago, where we were going every other weekend and spending most of the summer there.
Oh, well, where at?
Yeah, if I was going to California that much, I would have preferred that it would have been Lake Arrowhead or Big Bear, but it was San Bernardino, so nothing to write home about.
Oh, yeah. Downtown. Oh, okay. Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glad not to be going there anymore.
So, California is, like you said, it's a bunch of stupid stuff. All these politicians and cops trying to get you all the time. So I understand you don't want to come here. Yeah,
well, you don't have time for that. I got callers, but we have to deal with that on another show. But now,
sure.
But yeah, they are looking for money. And like I was saying to someone today, when it comes to traffic and taxes and drugs, judges, especially traffic court judges, the rules only apply to you. They don't apply to the prosecution. Yeah. And so you have to keep that in mind when you're doing it. Fighting this ticket, you may win, but it's not going to be a walk in the park. Usually, you're going to have to learn some of the basic concepts, and you're going to have to role play and engage other people and practice, questioning people and being able to use the Socratic method so that you can get someone to either confirm or not be able to confirm their arguments as true. So if you're going to, blow apart someone's argument, you need to ask very good leading questions. And I cover that in all the shows. Right. It's in the book. And so if you get the stuff, great. Okay. We'll help walk you through it if you got any questions. And if you do have any questions, you can email me, and you're always welcome to call into the next week's show.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark. I sincerely appreciate your time and everything you do. Thank you so much. God bless.
You're very welcome. Appreciate the call. Atik in Sacramento. I got it. I've mentioned this before. If judges have a reason for their ruling, they'll give it to you. They're usually very happy to. So if you are following, especially at the appellate level, it's a little different. You're not in the heat of the moment like a trial. But even at a hearing, a motions hearing, I've watched it. I've watched judges, and I've had to sit there and watch my hair turn gray listening to judges trying to explain things. I remember this one. I'll never forget this. It's like the life force was leaving me. It was horrible. And it was traffic court, and we were having a hearing to whether a judge was going to recuse himself. And I wanted a court reporter there. This guy went on for like 15 minutes explaining why a court reporter wasn't required. And I just sat there thinking, my gosh, what did I get myself into here? I am causing myself to just sit here and lose brain cells. So when they have grounds, they'll give it to you. I'm not talking about one of these situations where an objection is made and things are hashed out and then the judge makes a decision. So if you've got two sides arguing a particular point and the judge favors argument A, at least you have a basis for why. But when you're in traffic court, you don't get that. You almost never have a discussion on the issue. The judge just reflexively grants it in favor of the prosecution. If the prosecution objects, it's automatically sustained. And I'm not saying that every single traffic court judge does that, but everyone I know that has gone to court, the traffic court, can testify with personal experience that when the prosecutor makes an objection, before the word is fully out of his mouth, the judge is already sustaining it. He's not even waiting for you to be able to say anything to defend against it. And just the same as like when you and I make an objection, it is automatically denied. The prosecutor doesn't have to say a word. Not a word. Oh, he's been on the show before. Hoping we're getting some good news. We got Balake from Chicago, of all places. Did I notice that before that you make the connection because that whole thing took place in Chicago?
Not that I know of a connection in Chicago.
I thought Mr. Garvey taught in the inner schools in Chicago, the inner city school in Chicago, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe that's so. No, good to be back on the show. Yeah, and I'm one of those people that can definitely attest to prosecutors not having to say a word. There's a case I'm currently working on, traffic, where I've been back maybe 6-7 times at this point, and this prosecutor has said maybe all of 50 to 75 words.
Jeez.
Pretty, the judge is the prosecutor and the supposed third party, disinterested party.
Yeah.
But my reason for calling today is, I was trying to think of some good questions, but you kind of covered, a lot of that with the last caller. But I have a third arraignment attempt in a traffic ticket case tomorrow, and last time I was in, the judge was granted, a partial discovery request. Of course, they never touched the issue. It's a lady judge. She never, and none of them ever touched the issue of actual, evidence approved, that would support the prosecution's claim that, the laws and constitutions are probably because I'm physically in Illinois. But, she's like, okay, if you have reports or if you have, audio, video, if you have whatever else, then, give that to the defendant. So tomorrow, what I'm thinking is probably happening is she'll acknowledge, the fact that I received what they are construing as evidence, and then she'll try to get me to enter a plea. And, of course, I have our questions that are, leading and Socratic in nature. But I don't know. I mean, what would you have to say in terms of just things to remember? One or two things that that would be good to keep in mind.
Well, you got to keep in mind, this is for everybody. You got to keep in mind the basics. The burden of proof is on who?
The prosecutor.
The prosecutor. Do they have to prove every element of the charge beyond a reasonable doubt?
Right. And then, is jurisdiction one of those elements?
Yeah. The foundational claim is that because you're physically in Illinois, the laws apply and you violated them. And we keep our focus on the first half of that because it sets the relevance for the rest of it. You can't possibly violate a rule if there's no proof that it applies. And it's not a matter of, I wish I could remember his name, this 29-year veteran prosecutor. Well, I can prove the law applies by proving it was violated. Well, how do you go about doing that? You want to make sure that you're asking the leading questions, like you mentioned. You want to and keep the burden on them, and you're objecting to practically everything because almost everything they're doing is going to be unfair. And if they're going to run over and just want a plea, you already know that. Well, dude, I intend on pleading guilty if the prosecution has met their prima facie burden. That's all I'm asking. And this is a big one. It's been coming up. Well, it's always been something that they try to do, but I'm dealing with now. A friend, J-Back, had called in on the last show. I think it was the Saturday show. What they want to do is mischaracterize your claim. So if tomorrow the prosecutor actually says this, I'd be surprised. Whoever says your claim that the laws don't apply is frivolous, how are you going to address that?
I would say, objection. What evidence has the prosecution presented to prove that my claim is frivolous?
Well, that would.
It's not my claim, actually. It's the prosecution's claim.
Yes, you have to make. Yeah, right. So what you want to do is absolutely object, and you have to point out that's not my position. And I know Greg, someone with the IRS we were dealing with, they continually do this. They never got it right. And J-Back, the same thing. Every single time that they mention this in their paperwork, they are mischaracterizing it. The position is, and that's why you have to correct them. Objection, that's not my position. So if the prosecutor's saying it, I would say, objection, move for sanctions. That's not my position, and the prosecution knows it. Like I've said in the last few shows, candor towards the court. He's lying about your actual position. So you want to correct them, get the position right. It's their claim that the laws do apply because I'm physically in Illinois. They don't have any evidence of that. My argument is they don't have evidence to support their claim. So this way, if they turn around, they want to say it's frivolous. What part of it are you disputing? See, but they'll never dispute that what you're saying is false, especially when we're dealing with the IRS when we had their admissions. What they're going to say is that your argument, which they will mischaracterize, is frivolous. And they may even say that the challenge itself is frivolous. Wow. You know how to respond to that, right?
Well, I mean, the burden of proof is still on the prosecution. And so, if they were to say, objection, Your Honor, the defendant's challenge is frivolous, I'd counter object. and restate the foundation of their claim. The prosecution is alleging that these laws and constitutions apply. Isn't the burden of proof on them? Don't they at least have to have a prima facie showing for there to even be a cause of action? And kind of flip the script that way. That's how on my feet I would try to defend against that.
Or you could say, objection. What part of my argument is the prosecution disputing? The facts or the conclusion?
And the conclusion being that they have not provided any evidence, even prima facie evidence.
Right.
To say that.
Right. We know that their argument is on jurisdiction, personal and subject matter. We know without any doubt whatsoever, it's not up for dispute. We know that you're physically here, the laws apply. We know that's the argument. We go through discovery, we question him, we want the evidence, we look at the actual record, it's not there. So we conclude, based on the record, they don't have any evidence to support their foundational claim. Now, which part of that, I would say, which part of that does the prosecution dispute? Because if they're going to dispute it all, now it's a matter of, well, objection, what is the prosecution's claim on jurisdiction? Because if it's not based on my physical presence here, which I thought that it's called territorial jurisdiction, if it's not based on my physical presence in Illinois, what's it based on? Now it's still the burden is on him, and now he's really got to scramble. What the hell is he going to say? That's why I say territorial jurisdiction. My gosh, it's in the name. This isn't something we're making up. So keep putting it back on them. So if he's going to dispute that, we got to know, then what the hell are you basing your claim of jurisdiction on? Because we've heard too many prosecutors and way too many judges say jurisdiction is, that all is a pure issue of law, requires no evidence to prove it's true. The only thing the prosecution has to do is prove you're physically in New Hampshire or wherever the hell we may be. So again, just put it back on them. If he's going to dispute the entire argument, then you got to know, you got to ask a clarifying question, just exactly what is your claim on jurisdiction if it's not because I'm physically here.
I see. Right. And okay, and I know you probably got some other callers lined up. And then one more kind of general. I have in my other case that I'm working on. I'm in pretrial now, so I submitted my motion in limine or limine, however you want to pronounce it. But basically, as I'm going through that, and that's basically just another opportunity for us to bring up what we've been bringing up every time we've been in there. That there's no factual basis for supporting, the prosecution's claim.
Right. Well, it's your choice. It's your opportunity to put him on the spot without the judge, being involved. And you tell him the same thing. I am willing to look. You can ask him point blank, sir, if this was to go to trial, do you have evidence and witnesses to prove every element beyond a reasonable doubt? You do. Really. So you have evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt your laws apply to me and I violated them. You can prove those two with evidence and witnesses. Okay. So now you've got him set up. Who the hell do you plan on bringing, and what evidence are they going to present that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that just because I'm physically in Illinois, this written instrument called the Constitution applies to me? Now, if he turns around and says, oh, I don't have to prove that. Wait just a minute. You just said that you have the evidence to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. Now you're saying you don't even have to prove it? Which one is it?
Okay.
Lying
now,
snakes. These people, I tell you.
Okay, and then one quick thing just to clarify. Is the most, because I've never actually argued, well, I won't say argue because I don't argue my motions, but I've never actually presented a motion to eliminate in a hearing. Is it a little bit different procedurally than other motions where you're actually talking with the prosecutor to your left or right or whatever?
Well, if you're in a pretrial conference, it should be at least starting with just you and the prosecutor. It's your opportunity. You put your cards on the table and see if you can agree to facts and maybe get to have an agreement for a plea to avoid trial. And if not, the facts still have to be put on the table so that you can adequately defend yourself.
Okay.
But I want you to go back but go make sure you go back, because you're okay, but you didn't do too well on one of the questions in one of the scenarios that I was putting to you. So you want to make sure that you're really focused and object and address what they're saying, the garbage that they're saying, and keep this on point. The entire focus has to be on the prosecution's lack of evidence, on their burden of proof. They're making a legal claim. Hey, this dude is physically in Illinois and our laws apply and give jurisdiction and create obligations. The focus has to be on that. They're going to mischaracterize it. They're going to try to deflect the attention away. You need to keep it right there. All right. So,
All right.
So when you do tomorrow, it's not going to be, it shouldn't be much different than at the pretrial. They're asking a lot of the same questions. The thing is, with the pretrial, you get an opportunity to speak directly to the prosecutor, and they're supposed to talk. Because if they're not going to say anything, they're not participating. That's denying you a fair trial, because you have to have a pretrial so that you can prepare for trial. And if he's not going to say anything, but chances are they're probably going to say something going to be a lot more arrogant than when there's no judge there to keep them, in line. So you can set them up better in the manner that I was saying. So you can prove with evidence or witnesses beyond a reasonable doubt that your laws apply and I violated them. And then you start deconstructing from there. And because what you get your contradictions. And if he says something like I mentioned probably already, he says, well, I don't have to prove that. Another way you can address that is, so you can make a foundational legal claim against me without proof. Do I get to do the same thing against you? Will the judge allow me to do that?
Right. Okay. Okay, that's great. And I'm going to get another caller. I would ask that some of the more experienced folks, I want to hop on Discord after the call, and if you're available, cool. That'd be nice to just brush up for tomorrow if people are available.
Well, hopefully there will be. I have some appointments that I have to do after the show. So unlike the Saturday show, I don't have as much time. But definitely hope, guys, please help Balake out. I want, when you call the show on next Wednesday, I want a good report.
Yeah, we'll bring it for you.
Give them hell.
We'll do.
All right. Good luck, my friend.
Right. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, we got to be focused. When they turn around and say your argument, the laws don't apply, is frivolous, objection. That's not my argument, and counsel knows it. They are deliberately trying to mislead. Never forget, candor towards the tribunal. And that applies whether it is in administrative hearings too. If they are deliberately misrepresenting and lying, call them on it. And no, that doesn't have to be in writing. If it's happening in court, you don't have to wait to put it in writing. What do you got to do? Just write down, he's lying. There, it's in writing. We're going to get one more call in here. We've got Rick from Waterford, Michigan. Welcome back to the show. You got good news for me today?
No, Mark, it's Rick. We spoke a couple of weeks ago. I'm the one that I took the plea on the thing with my mom.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that one. And
oh man, you're killing me.
If there's too much information that you don't really, you're not able to read it all. Because I sent you an email, but I don't know if you got a chance to read it.
You're gonna have to. I didn't. I don't know if you use your name in your email or not, because it's not ringing a bell. An email from a Rick in the last few days.
Yeah, it was probably 3 weeks ago now. The email will come as Rick SS1.
Okay, I'll look that up.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, because I have my probation violation hearing next week.
Right.
And that was on because I didn't finish their class. I attended 52 weeks of it, but I didn't finish it because of all the stuff they want you to write, in the book, as far as name all the people that you sexually abused and all this other stuff, all the physical abuses that you get up to in your life. And you can't say you haven't done it because their point of view is that everybody's done it. So if you don't write it, you're not completed, and that leads to a violation.
Have Donald Trump do something like that.
What's that?
Have Donald Trump write down all the people he sexually abused, grabbing them by the crotch.
Well, right.
Yeah, because when you're rich and you're famous, they let you do that. You can do whatever you want. See, when you're at that level, you can move on a married woman like a bitch. What a stupid thing to say. I moved on like a bitch. What the? He's trying to sound tough. He actually. So for those who may not know, he actually said that. He talks about just going in on a sexual advance on a married woman, and he said, I moved on her like a bitch. What? Oh, please.
Yeah, gosh, well, I'm not about to write anything like that. I mean, because I'm taking this thing seriously. I mean,
well, sure.
It's easy for, a lot of people that told me, oh, just write it and get the class done. You won't get violated. But, I'm not writing that. I could go to prison though now from what everybody's telling me. Or at least a long stint in the county jail. One of the things I wanted to ask you though is, last time we spoke, I asked about redoing this, taking my plea back, or getting an actual trial now, because I never, I gave whatever you call it, your preliminary hearing. I waived it on the third time I went because I took the plea.
Right.
But you said something about, unless there's, something with counsel that was, what do you call it? Ineffective counsel. And then the other thing was new, or if you have like new information regarding the case.
Right. Newly discovered.
That finds you innocent.
Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is here, because this was my mom, she is willing to, tell them the truth that this never happened. And I did do some research, and I know the court's not just going to accept that from her now, right? Because they're going to say, "Oh no, you're lying now," because they don't want to give their conviction away. They want me to keep the felony, and they want me to pay all these fines, right?
But you did. I'm running out of time, and we need like a whole show for you. Yeah. You did say she has been medically diagnosed with schizophrenia, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm no doctor, I'm no lawyer, but I got it. My first impression is if you've got someone who's medically diagnosed with schizophrenia and knowing what, about delusions are a part of schizophrenia. I mean, that's part and parcel. I mean, that in and of itself should cast serious doubt to her prior testimony.
Well, how do I, because I need to really quickly by next week get it out there to the court somehow that, I didn't do this, and I want to, you know what I'm trying to say, right? I'm trying to, first
I think
of all,
you're up
stop
against
the violation of probation. Second of all, I want to try and get my case dismissed. I can't live my life with a felony. I can't even find a job because of all the probation requirements. Show up here, show up there, drug test that, class this. I'm losing my house now. I lost my business. I haven't worked all year. I mean, I only eat like once a week because of this whole thing. I'm like dying here. I wish I was dead.
Well, all right.
Let's know what I'm saying.
Let's not get into. Hopefully, you veer off of that territory and be more positive. I hate to say it, but you may have to look for some. Legal aid, like a legal aid society, something that may be able to help you out so you can get an attorney there to help you with this. I would imagine it should be a slam dunk for any lawyer to look and get your mother's medical history and present this. Say the woman is schizophrenic. She's not a credible witness, and she should not have been the only one relied on.
Well, I'm even hearing now that she's willing to say in court that she lied, but I mean, like, I know that that's not the way it should be presented. The way it probably should be presented is that
She's delusional. I mean, I would present it that she's
Yeah.
medically, she's a schizophrenic. She has delusions. She thinks she sees things that aren't there. She's not a credible witness. And I would,
Right.
that's the way my first impression is on how to present that. But I would get in touch tomorrow and try to find one of these legal aid societies to get, because you can't afford one. You need some help with this. This is not a traffic thing. This is
Right.
this is pretty. So
No, I know.
you can't
it's
do this
huge, right? I
alone.
mean, like, this violation, it could send me from, 6 months to a year to county or prison time.
Well, hopefully,
So I'm not filling that book out with all the stuff they want to write. Well, that ship has sailed. I'm not doing
Sure. Well, go do yourself a favor and let me know tomorrow. Email me. Let me know what's, hopefully it doesn't go to, I'll just
Yeah.
check my spam. For some reason, I don't get notified with spam unless it crashes. And then when I restart it, man, this Thunderbird crash a lot, like every email. But send me another one, reminding me, because I got a lot of stuff to do after the show. But get tomorrow, start looking for a legal aid society or something to help that, because of your situation, because you don't have the money, so that you can see if there's a lawyer that may be able to help you, because you're not gonna be able to do this on your own, and let them know what's going on, and that you need to use your mother's medical records, that she's a schizophrenic, and see what they can do about getting that stopped. So that's the best I can do now, but definitely let me know tomorrow if you're able to get in touch with an attorney.
Yeah, I'll try. I mean, it doesn't seem like anybody here that, as far as attorneys go, they all want to get paid, right?
They do have legal aid societies that and
well, I mean,
don't-
if you, I'm not sure if I'll able to send you another email, because here's the thing with the email. Just recently, I've lost my home internet because of the money situation, and I have limited internet connection through my mobile. I've got 4G mobile, which this is going to be the last month where I even have a cell phone. It's going to get cut off soon, but it's very slow. And I was trying to log into my email. It wouldn't let me because it's not recognizing my cell phone, service provider. It's thinking I'm trying to hack into my own email. So I don't know if you can check your email like from 3 weeks ago, because I put a pretty detailed information in there.
I can.
I mean, there was a thing that I went to a couple of weeks ago as well out in Grand Rapids, where there's a new task force in place where the lieutenant governor is involved, and I went there and testified and told them my situation.
Okay, well,
and I didn't really get any.
But someone said, yeah, you can get free Wi-Fi at a Starbucks, and there should be a half a dozen around the corner. But I know you told me what your username was. I'll look that up and I'll get in touch with you. But let me find out, even if you can go to the ACLU, just go to Starbucks and use your phone. Look up some of these legal aid societies, something like that, so you can get free legal help. They do exist, and let me know tomorrow. Contact me tomorrow if you can, and let me know.
But I mean, when you say contact, you email you, because there's no other real way to get a hold of you besides email, right? Or
you can Skype me, and so just Frank Rizzo 3 on Skype, and you can we can make calls.
Yeah, I gotta get Skype. I don't really have Skype now.
Well,
yeah,
you know what? My number is on the website. I just look on the website. My number is there on there.
Yeah, no, I see the Frank Rizzo one. Yeah, I had Skype in the past. I just never had a use for it. So
okay.
I have to just log in or something. All right, Mark. Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I know this is
I'm
a
messed
huge
up,
problem.
man. I mean, like I said, I had no pride before and somewhat of a decent life, but all got washed away.
I'm sorry to hear that. Listen, I got to let you go, but let me get back in touch with me tomorrow, and I'll look up your email and send you a response, and you let me know tomorrow what you can find as far as someone in the area that could help. All right, an attorney.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I will do.
All right. Appreciate the call and good luck. Oh man, you would think that a woman with a history of schizophrenia would not be considered a credible witness. but unfortunately, no. I am totally out of time, but I do always have to mention that in addition to this police officer being charged with murder, rightfully charged with murder, hopefully he is convicted. His name again, Aaron Dean. So we had an AA run and a Balake today. But news, the Epstein news. Remember Epstein, sweetheart deal by Alexander Acosta, the now disgraced Commerce Secretary under Donald Trump, when he was U.S. Attorney in Florida, gave a sweetheart deal not only to Jeffrey Epstein, but to all of his co-conspirators, unnamed co-conspirators. And so news coming out about, I just saw this today. We all know that he had a lot of very wealthy people, powerful people that he had personal numbers for and met with and at parties and whatnot. Apparently, that includes very close contact with Bill Gates. That doesn't mean Bill Gates, was into any of that. Just another contact. My point here is, to keep the Epstein story going so we never forget that. And also, I'm totally out of time. I can't get into it, but look what's going on in China. And you can see how people some people, it's all about the green and it's all about money, that even a basketball player worth $400 million doesn't want to cross China because, oh no, it might cost him another $1 million. Yeah. No principles if it doesn't make you money. Okay. Yeah. So, anyway, appreciate everyone tuning into the big show today. If you want to help support the show, it's markstevens.sales.com and markstevens.net. Hopefully we get some good news next week regarding Rick's situation and Balake's. So especially for Rick. Rick is really in a bad spot. And you can see how the system can destroy you based on the words of a schizophrenic. That, quite an investigation there, guys. Again, I appreciate everyone tuning in to the big show. I'm just naming these shows on the date. It's a lot easier. It's October 16th from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. I won't be live on Saturday, but I will be back Wednesday. So till then, salud.